Now, you were originally subpoenaed by the state, correct?
Correct.
You met with the state representatives, Mr. Binger and Mr. Kraus, correct?
Correct.
And there was some tension in that room, correct?
There was.
And they weren't happy with what you were telling them. Is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
I'm going to ask, A, it is leading, and B, I want no reaction. Facial reaction, please.
Describe your meeting with Mr. Binger and Mr. Kraus in their office.
Or object to relevance.
Answer it.
Please.
I don't know the date off the top of my head, but I was called down to the district attorney's office. I met with Mr. Binger and I don't remember his name.
The individual who's
In the blue. And I was called into a room, sat at a table, handed my police statement, got to read over my police statement, and then I was asked if I would like to add anything to the police statement, and I said I would not. Mr. Binger pulled out a cell phone and showed me a video and also a photo, which was actually one photo that I brought today, and asked me if I knew who a gentleman was in that photo, and I said I did not. And he asked me to, he said, this is Joshua Zeminski. Mr. Binger also has a case with him, and I am subpoenaed for that case also. And he says, well, that's who that is. He put the phone down, he picked the phone back up and says, who is this? And I confusingly said, like, Joshua Zeminski, and he's like, would you like to add that to your statement? And I just felt I didn't want to change my statement.
okay. And as a result, what did you do?
I hired an attorney.
And that's Mr. Rose.
Yes.
I have nothing further. Your Honor, I'd like to move the pictures into evidence.
Is there objection?
Except for the ones that were objected to relevance, yeah, no.
Well, there was one that I guess there were two that I sustained objection. The remainder will be
Two
received.
of the big ones.
The two big ones, and then the third big one wasn't even presented, so all the big ones are rejected. Well, two of the big ones are rejected. One of the big ones was not offered. I'm sure they'll be very happy wherever it goes when they're defined as the big ones. But all of the smaller numbered photographs are received.
And I would ask that they be published to the jury, but Mr. Kraus can cross-examine first.
His preference?
That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. DeBruin, you said there was a lot of tension in the room when you met with me and Mr. Binger and Ms. Beasy.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that you were very nervous?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we did have you read over your statement, right?
Correct.
And we asked if you knew anything beyond that statement.
Correct.
We didn't ask you to change it.
Yes, you did.
Okay. So you said we asked to change it to identify Mr. Zeminski?
Yes. Or if I wanted to change any details if I remember anything else throughout that night, and to add Joshua Zeminski.
Now, we met for the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that most of the discussion involved Mr. Zeminski?
I would say probably half of it.
Because Attorney Binger is prosecuting Mr. Zeminski for arson.
Apparently.
And you took a number of pictures of that perhaps include Mr. Zeminski, correct?
Correct.
So Mr. Binger was verifying if you knew that was Mr. Zeminski and asked you if you saw him in some pictures.
Apparently, and at the time, again, I did not know who Joshua Zeminski was.
Now,
just that I was subpoenaed to be a witness in his trial.
So, so your testimony is that the state, in the case against Kyle Rittenhouse, wanted you to present incriminating evidence against Mr. Zeminski?
I don't know why he asked me that question. I found it odd too.
is it possible you didn't understand the question?
No, he was pretty clear.
And then you said you went and you hired an attorney.
I did.
How did the meeting end?
What do you mean, how the meeting ended?
I mean, how did our meeting end?
Our meeting or with my attorney?
No, I can't ask about your attorney. I mean our meeting in my office with Mr. Binger and Ms. Beasy.
It ended with Mr. Binger saying that he would be in touch with me in regards to the Zeminski case.
Because we indicated that we would subpoena you for that case.
You did subpoena me for that case.
And that was the absolute end of the meeting?
That I recall.
Do you remember that afterwards you and I spoke about your photography and I complimented your photography? We talked about your photography?
That was in the beginning.
And at the end?
Mostly in the beginning because we were waiting for Mr. Binger to get in the room because, I don't know, Heather, maybe her name was in the room and we were just waiting for Mr. Binger to get in the room. Is when you asked me that to be correct.
So we never asked you to put anything in about or change anything about Kyle Rittenhouse?
Not specifically, no.
Because Kyle Rittenhouse, that name doesn't even appear in your statement, does it?
I don't think so. Not to my knowledge.
And so the discussion about changing statements, did we actually ask you to retype your statement out?
No.
So what do you mean we asked you to change it?
I'm assuming there wasn't details, but I'm assuming either add Kyle's name or because I was also showing a video off of a cell phone by Mr. Binger. I don't know what that video or whose video that was, but it was of the shooting. And that's when I was asked if I wanted to add anything else to that statement, and I said no.
And you took that literally, like actually writing out your statement?
Yeah.
You did not take that to mean, is there anything your statement doesn't cover or that we should know?
No.
You said literally we would retype the statement that you took November 11th.
Well, he didn't say retype it, but he said, do I want to add anything to that? And to how I interpret that, that's pretty much altering my statement, and I felt uneasy about that.
You added things to your statement on the stand today.
That was because I recall in videos of certain things happening. That when the day I gave my statement, when I walked to the police station, when I walked into that police station, there wasn't even a glass door on that.
So how is,
building.
I'm sorry, how is that different than what Attorney Binger asked? Did you want to add anything? How is that any different than asking if you remember other things?
When I had a meeting with Mr. Richards the following night, I want to say, or the following day, around like maybe 3:30 at his office. And I was also showing videos there. And prior to things happening in those videos, I was saying things that actually were just about to happen. And he asked me, do you mind if I bring this up? And I said, absolutely. But I did not change. I did not alter that statement. I did not write a new statement out.
So no one asked you to write a new statement?
No, not to write a new statement, just add
So
or alter.
We both asked the same thing, if you knew more beyond what your statement said.
But the way Mr. Binger wanted it, how he portrayed it to me was to add on to my statement physically. Mr. Richards just took notes.
Did someone ask you to type out a new statement?
I'm telling you how I perceived it.
You have a bias in this case, don't you? You don't want Mr. Rittenhouse to be found guilty or not guilty?
Oh, wait a minute. You don't want him to be found guilty or not guilty?
You don't have an interest or a bias in which way this trial comes out?
I don't know. I'm a photographer, photojournalist. That's what I do. I take photos.
Did you go and give an interview to a gossip site that is biased against the district attorney?
I don't know what his site represents.
So you actually went to the media, or someone who claims to be media, to talk about this meeting with the prosecutors?
First of all, he came to me. I didn't go to him. Let's make that clear.
And you understand that he has a bias in this case?
I don't know. I don't know him personally.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Was the objection?
Well, let's do this. We need to take one more break before the day's done. Anyway, So why don't we take just a 10-minute break? And please don't talk about the case during the break. Not get your objection.
Speculation. He's asking.
Stop,
Oh,
stop. Okay.
speculation, Your Honor. He's asking what he knows about an unnamed reporter's bias.
Yeah, I've never heard that before, that he could testify about somebody else's bias.
I asked if he knew about his bias.
Well, you know, what does that mean? Do you know about the bias?
I can break it, I can ask it a different way.
That would be good.
And who is
That would
he?
make my day. All right. So let's take a break.
I don't.
About 10
I
minutes.
read the article.
You ever read this?
Sit right here.
You can walk around if you like, but we need you back in about 10 minutes. All right. Let's proceed.
Thank you. You indicated that this blogger approached you,
Yes.
and do you know how he found out about your feelings?
Yeah,
I don't think it might be.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
Do you know how he found out that you had something to say?
What do you mean something to say?
Well, you said he approached you. Do you know how he knew to approach you?
He was at my attorney's office.
Did you waive attorney-client privilege so that your attorney could talk to him about it?
He wasn't in the meetings with my attorney, with me present or anything.
So you walked out of your attorney's office and he was there?
He was at my attorney's office, just not in conversations in regards to like why I was there.
And you know this blogger and your attorney have a very close business relationship?
I do not.
Do you know anything about this blogger?
I do not.
So why did you talk to him?
He was with the media.
Have you talked to all media that ever contacted you?
No.
And blogger. Let me finish the question.
Sorry.
Did you know that this blogger has posted many articles indicating that he wants Kyle Rittenhouse to be found not guilty?
I do not.
Did you know this blogger has posted many articles attacking, mostly falsely, my office, the district attorney's office?
I do not know this.
Did you do
guy.
any research about who this person was before you spoke to him?
No.
I don't think it's relevant.
That was my last question on that topic.
Perfect.
So,
I'm
no,
sorry.
on that topic, no, it's on that topic. Thank you. So, would you describe our meeting in the DA's office as cordial and uneventful?
It was, besides the uneasy feeling I had, it was pretty much like a normal meeting.
So when we ask you if there's anything to add or beyond your statement, that made you feel uneasy.
Yes.
But when Attorney Richards asked you the next day, and let me back it up. So we asked you, you felt uneasy, and you didn't say really anything in addition to your statement. Fair to say?
Correct, because I didn't want to change it.
So then when Attorney Richards asked you the next day if you have anything to add to your statement, you tell him all sorts of things.
He didn't present it to adding my statement. He said, can I take notes? He didn't use the word statement like I'm changing my statement.
So that the verbiage is what made you uncomfortable.
Correct.
Did he have you read your statement before you talked to him?
I just read it the night before.
Okay, so the fact that you physically had your statement with us is what made you uneasy.
Correct.
Okay. So now that we're talking about your statement, let's show you what is marked as Exhibit 134. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
What is that?
that is the police statement I gave on 9/11/2020.
And this is the one that we asked you to read in my office.
Correct.
And you make no mention at all of Mr. Rosenbaum having to be held back.
Because this was taken on 9/11, I was a year prior to this when I walked into a building that I really didn't even want to be in. But the ATF, however you guys work on your cases, it was brought to you guys, not me voluntarily. The ATF brought it to you and got you guys involved.
By you guys, you mean the detective that's investigating this case?
Yes. I had a homicide detective over at my house.
So you gave the statement on September 11th, 2020.
Correct.
Is it fair to say that your memory of the events was better on September 11th, 2020?
Pretty much the same. You're not going to forget this situation ever.
Well, then why did you forget to put things in your report?
First of all, it was, like I said, when I first walked into the police station, I walked through a police station that didn't even have a door. Didn't have no glass attached. There was glass on the ground, completely all shattered on the ground. I have photos, don't worry. Shattered all over the ground. It was you guys had me waiting constantly. I had to wait to give my statement because they couldn't get a hold of Detective Howard. So when he came in, it was a really, I don't want to say rushed, but it wasn't take your time type of deal.
You were there for, your statement was an hour and a half long.
Don't know what,
Right?
I don't know how long it was.
And they were in the room within 5 minutes of you walking in the
I
in
don't
the
believe
interrogation
that.
room? So your explanation for why your statement leaves things out is because you walked through a door without a window?
No, I was trying to explain how nervous and anxious I was because, I mean, all around that area, just local businesses are being destroyed, everything. And to be walking into a police department in the middle of this time isn't good. I was threatened numerous times throughout the week of me photographing and capturing all these photos. I was threatened numerous times, so I was uneasy with people still standing outside the police department walking in, knowing I have to walk out with these people out here.
So you gave the statement 17 days after the shooting. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And you're still saying that property was being destroyed and there were protests
There was
7
no-
days later? Let me finish my question, please. 17 days later?
There, nothing to the extent of the week of the shooting, nothing to that extent, but there was no window in the police station.
So the fact there was no window made it so you could not give an accurate statement?
I'm not saying that. I
You
said
just did.
it gave me anxiety.
That's not what the witness
Yeah, so make sure you
He
say
didn't
what
say
I'm
he
saying.
He
Oh,
didn't-
okay.
He
So
did not say he didn't make an accurate statement. That was your words.
Not
you
mine.
you said things were left out of your statement.
Not intentionally. I mean, those are little details. That's a traumatic situation that someone has to go through. I just witnessed someone dying, and another person getting their arm almost blown off.
17 days prior.
Doesn't matter how long it is. I still suffer from that traumatic still to this day.
Do you have, you said you've been nervous, you said you were anxious. Does that really affect your perception of events?
It might, no. It's not going to change, but like right now I'm anxious. Like I have anxiety right now.
Did you have anxiety when you spoke to us in our office?
Absolutely.
Now, you in your statement, there's no mention of Mr. Rosenbaum having to be held back.
Correct.
There's no mention of him saying anything about shoot me N-words.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure, sorry. There's nothing in there about saying shoot me N-words.
Correct.
And is that because you saw it on a video later?
When I was showing a video at Mr. Richard's office, as the video was playing, I was telling things that was happening before the video was actually playing. Like, I don't know, before the details that I said coming out my mouth happened on the video.
So did you observe him say that, or did you see it on video?
I heard him say it, and what's your question?
On August 25th, as you were there that night, did you see Mr. Rosenbaum say that?
Yes.
Or is that based on video
No.
after?
No, I saw him, I heard him say that.
But it's not in your statement.
Correct.
There's nothing in your statement about seeing Mr. Rittenhouse walk down to Car Source.
Like, little details like that, I'm not an investigator, so I don't know to give those type of details. I'm sorry.
So this homicide suspect and his actions seconds before the alleged homicide, that's a little detail?
Also, remember going back, this whole situation got blown out of the water when the ATF got involved. And so many people showing up at my house, showing up at my job. The FBI showed up at my job and asking me questions. So when this statement was given, I gave it to the best recollection of my memory that I could, with everything else that was going on around me in my life at that time regarding this case.
You'd agree watching a homicide suspect walk up to the scene of the first homicide is not a little detail?
I was stressed out at the time, I'm sorry.
You testified with Mr. Richards that you saw Mr. Grosskreutz point his gun at Mr. Rittenhouse?
Yes,
That's nowhere in your statement.
correct.
So that wasn't important to include on September 11th?
Like I said, I'm not a detective.
But you can tell, you gave us things about tipping over a porta potty. Is that more important than someone pointing a gun at a homicide suspect?
No, but it's easier to remember when I captured the photo. And I can reference that photo to remember
So
that instance.
So are these your memories, or are these what you've seen on photos and you've changed your memory or altered your memory because of the photos?
Probably a little of both, but nothing's altered.
So you had a camera on you that night?
That's how I would have got those photos.
And did that take photos and video?
It did.
So
It did.
you watched this scene unfold in front of you with people chasing Mr. Rittenhouse?
I did.
Did you turn your camera on?
Yes or no?
He said I did.
Oh,
I did or didn't?
I did. I'm sorry.
Did you turn your camera on?
To take photos?
To take anything?
No. I didn't. If there's a video of, I don't know whose video. Excuse
Well,
me.
I'm talking about your video. Did you turn your camera on?
No.
No.
No. It's a very chaotic situation.
Well, you're there to document things, aren't you?
And I'm not a professional.
So, in your statement, it says nothing about Gage pointing the gun, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you said Anthony walked maybe 2-3 steps and collapsed. That's when I stepped back. I was at the corner house on the southwest corner of Sheridan 61st Street at this time. That's what you said?
Correct.
I hugged the north wall of the house for cover. Is that correct?
Correct.
But somehow from hugging the north wall of the house, you saw what happened with Mr. Grosskreutz?
That was, by the time I got to the house, everything was done. That's how fast that happened. I didn't even get out of the street. I was still in the street when he was shot, when Grosskreutz was shot. I'm sorry.
All you say about the shooting is, I saw Gage get shot in the arm and it was a mist of blood. That's all you say about the interaction between Mr. Grosskreutz and Mr. Rittenhouse.
Correct.
So that was important to say, but nothing else regarding that incident.
Like I said, I'm not a detective. I don't know what you guys look for. I'm sorry that I left that out. This is the first time I ever had to do anything like this.
You indicated you saw someone with a loaded pistol. How'd you know it was loaded?
I watched him rack the gun back.
Did you know if he had ammunition in it?
I know how firearms work. The slide would have stayed back if there was no ammunition in it.
Did you watch him load the gun?
No.
Now, when you are given a statement by a detective, they tell you to put everything in it that's important, right?
Through my eyes.
You signed the statement that says, "This statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard of the Kenosha Police Department and is a true and accurate account of my statement to him." You signed that on the top of each page? Or the top of the first page?
I didn't sign nothing at the top of the page. It's at the bottom of the page.
All right, so let's go there. So you signed on the bottom, "I have made the above statement without any threats or promises. It is my desire to state the true facts as to this incident. I have read the above statement and find that it is true and correct."
Correct.
And you signed that.
Yes, sir.
And the statement on top would also indicate that it should be the truth.
What statement on top? I don't understand what you're trying to tell me.
On the top of your statement, it says, "This statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard."
Oh, on the very first page, yes.
If I could finish my question, please. She has to type everything down, so only one person can talk at a time. Thank you. "This statement is being typed for me by Detective Martin Howard of the Kenosha Police Department and is a true and accurate account of my statement to him."
Correct.
Is there anything else you left out of the statement?
Not to my knowledge.
Do you consider my question to be asking you to change your statement?
Not right now.
You indicated that Rosenbaum took a chain and kept it for a while, swinging it around.
Correct.
So you saw Mr. Rosenbaum drop or leave the chain behind.
I don't know when Mr. Rosenbaum separated with that chain.
But you said kept it for a while.
Correct.
So it was gone.
At some point, yes.
Okay. Now, in our meeting, let me ask it this way. Did you see Kyle Rittenhouse before the car source lot on that night?
Yes.
And you described him to us as being notable because he was always out alone on his own.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Mr. Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Okay, so you saw him out on his own doing whatever he was doing by himself.
The couple times that I seen him.
And when you saw Mr. Rosenbaum, you never saw him actually lay hands on anyone?
No.
Never saw him hit anyone?
No.
Never saw him kick anyone?
No.
Never saw him strike anyone with a chain or any other weapon?
No, sir.
Never saw him with a gun?
No.
Now, you indicated in your statement that as Mr. Rittenhouse was being chased back northbound Sheridan Road, you heard someone say, "You just shot someone, stop." Is that true?
Yes, it is.
And you say that Anthony and Gage, meaning Mr. Huber and Mr. Grosskreutz, were yelling at Kyle to stop.
Yes.
Kyle did not stop and kept going.
Correct.
Now, in my office, you indicated that you were fearful of an active shooter.
I don't recall that.
You don't remember saying that you thought they were trying to stop an active shooter?
No.
Do you think they were trying to stop an active shooter?
They were trying to stop the person that was running.
Did you feel?
At that time, like I said, I don't know. I didn't know what happened at that corner.
So you, as a amateur journalist, you were not drawn to go to that location, to the 63rd Street car source.
Is that the one on the corner?
Well, they're all kind of on the corner, but the
Across
one on
from the
63rd,
hospital?
the one on 63rd and Sheridan.
Yes, I was drawn towards that.
Okay, but you didn't get there in time to see any of the shooting.
No.
Now, you indicated that Mr. Rosenbaum said, "I just got out of jail and I'm not afraid to go back," or something to that level.
Yes, sir.
Do you know if he got out of jail or not?
At the time, I did not know.
And you said you saw him have a small plastic water bottle that night?
I saw a plastic baggie.
Did you, and you told us in our meeting that you saw a plastic bottle in the baggie?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Rosenbaum, when he made that comment, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse around.
No.
When he was at the 59th Street Ultimart, and he was saying what's not in your statement, but you have said, "Shoot me, N-word," and having to be restrained, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse around.
No, I did not. There was many people.
You said, I didn't quite hear when Attorney Richards was saying, did you say you had a picture of Mr. Rosenbaum by a cone on fire?
Yes.
Like a traffic cone?
Well, he's in the background just outside the driveway of the gas station.
So I'm just trying to determine what it is. It's a traffic cone, or what is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Construction cone, I guess.
Construction
you could
cone?
say. Yeah.
Now, you didn't see Kyle Rittenhouse anywhere around there?
Not at that time, no.
And right, I mean, at that time, you did not see Kyle Rittenhouse around there. And that didn't threaten anyone's safety relating a traffic cone on fire?
No.
You saw, or you allege you saw Mr. Rosenbaum tip or help tip over a porta potty?
I did.
It's not alleged, there's a photograph of it, it's ridiculous.
He can phrase his question as he sees fit.
Now, you indicated in your statement that it smelled terrible.
It did.
So that was a detail you felt important to include in your statement? Now, when Mr. Rosenbaum tipped over the porta potty, Mr. Rittenhouse was not around.
Not that I seen.
There was no one in the porta potty that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of.
So that didn't actually endanger anyone's safety?
No.
You indicated that there was a trailer that was lit on fire?
Yes.
Mr. Rittenhouse wasn't around to see that?
Not that I.
He doesn't know what Mr. Rittenhouse
I'll
saw or didn't see.
I'll rephrase. You did not see Mr. Rittenhouse around then?
No.
And the trailer was unoccupied?
What do you mean unoccupied?
I mean, there was no one in it?
There was what?
There was nobody in it?
There could be nobody in it.
Isn't it a flatbed?
Yeah, it's a flatbed.
So that didn't endanger anyone's safety?
No, unless it tipped over.
Now, you said you saw Mr. Rosenbaum arm himself with a chain. He picked up a chain off the ground or off the trailer?
Off the trailer.
Armed himself is your phraseology?
Yes.
And did you see Kyle Rittenhouse around when he did that?
Not that I am aware of.
And you never saw him swing it at anyone or threaten anyone with that?
I saw him just swinging it, but it was not directed towards anybody or like any human beings or anything like that.
Do you consider handguns or chains more dangerous?
You know, where are we going here, Mr.
I'm not an
Kraus?
expert.
Mr. Kraus.
This witness has spoken a great deal about what he saw Mr. Rosenbaum do, and I am establishing that he did not see Mr. Rittenhouse observe any of it.
That isn't what you asked him. You asked him which he considers more dangerous, chains or guns.
I'll withdraw that. Sir, you worked for a grocery chain?
Yes, I did. Yes.
You did.
Yes.
What happened the last couple of weeks?
What?
You did work for a grocery chain?
A while ago, yes.
How do you make your living now?
I work for a national bottling company.
Okay. So your photography is a hobby, or you're hoping to, you told me you're hoping to become a professional.
Eventually, yes,
Now, you brought your own exhibits in here today,
I did.
and the defense didn't ask you to do that, you did that on your own.
I did.
And you know that this case has gotten a great deal of publicity.
Yes.
And you know there are media outlets here covering the trial.
Yeah, apparently, there's cameras.
And you actually have offered your photographs for sale on that blogger's site who spoke to you.
He put those up.
So are these photographs for sale?
If somebody would want them, but I'm not advertising them.
Did you bring your own exhibits because you're trying to enrich yourself with your photography?
Not at all.
Nothing further.
Can you redirect?
Yes. Sir, before the 25th of August 2020, did Kyle Rittenhouse have any significance to you?
Before the 25th?
Yes.
No.
Okay, the night of the 25th before the shooting, did you know who Kyle Rittenhouse was?
I did not. I didn't even know after taking that graffiti picture
Okay.
earlier in the day.
Were you looking for Kyle Rittenhouse to know where Kyle Rittenhouse was in relationship to what Mr. Rosenbaum was doing?
No, I did not know any of those individuals at that time.
And when you met with me in my office, there was a private investigator present, correct?
Correct.
And I asked you what you remembered and took notes, correct?
Correct.
And then I showed you video, correct?
Question leading.
Correct.
Sustained.
I was there, and who else?
The private investigator and then myself.
Okay. And what did we do first?
I don't recall.
You come in and did I show you videos right away?
Oh, no. You introduced yourself. You introduced the private investigator. I don't remember his name. And then you asked, like, if I remembered my police statement, and I said I did because it was just refreshed to me by the district attorney's office. And then you asked when did I talk to the district attorney's office, and I said just the day prior, and then we started going into my police statement.
And after I was done going into your police statement with you, then what did I do?
Showed me some videos.
Okay, and in the videos I showed you, were you able to identify yourself?
Yes. I don't know who recorded the videos, but I can identify myself in a video.
And not just any video, it's right before the shooting. Is that a fair statement?
Correct.
Overruled.